Hello everyone! It is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. But before we do that, of course, we've got to start off with some wine if we're going to wind down our weekend. And so this week we are drinking Santa Julia, which is a Malbec Cab Franc blend, which sounds like it should be incredible. It says, does it say anything about it? So it's 70% Malbec, 30% Cab Franc, and it's supposed to have dark plum, dark fruit, and spicy notes. Those two things are both delicious on their own, so I assume they're going to be delicious together, but we are going to give it a try and see. Holy cow. Yeah, that is delicious. I did not know what it was going to be, and it is exactly what it needs to be. Yeah. It does have a very rich flavor. There's a lot of spice, but not like a painful spice. Not like an overly peppery experience or anything. It definitely tastes the plum and the darker fruits. What about you?
It's very oaky. It tastes oak.
Is it maybe?
Does it taste kind of like burning wood in your mouth?
No, not really. It kind of tastes, like I said, it kind of tastes to me like the plum, dark fruit, and then spices.
Yeah, for sure. But
I don't know what those spices are, so maybe they are like an oak. Does it say? I'm curious. It's interesting too because it's actually like it is actually an Argentinian wine because of the Malbec, but I'm curious like what they do with the grapes to get the Cab Franc of it all. Ooh, it's done below sea level. That's exciting. Yeah, it doesn't say that there's any oakness to it, so you have to look it up and see if they're supposed to be.
Called the Mountain Blend. The Mountain Blend is part of it.
Oh, Mountain Blend is part of it. Santa Julia is probably the winery itself. So, yes. It does not have all of that on the back of the bottle, so it only says that it's Santa Julia and that it is a Malbec Cab Franc.
The Franc adds the dark fruit and the tannins. Yes. Plums, jam, spicy vanilla.
It is very jammy. Very jammy. Very delicious. This is a great blend, and especially because Cab Francs can be a little more expensive sometimes. Even if they are extremely delicious, sometimes you don't want to spend the extra money on them. So having one that's a blend with a Malbec takes that price down a little bit, which makes it really nice. We're going to be drinking this the whole show through.
$12.59.
$12.59. That's not bad at all. You can totally have a bottle while you watch Wind Down Your Weekend. We had a lot of cool stuff going on at Bat City this week. We had Slam Academy yesterday, which was composition, and our art teacher Adrian taught those classes. It was really cool to see. We actually had a couple of kids in there who made full comics, and they actually stopped and thought about how to change the perspective on things while learning perspective and composition from Adrian. It's really cool to see them actually take rulers out and follow along with their composition and their perspective art styles while they were doing that. Perspective was such an interesting topic to hear Adrian speak about. There is a slam class this weekend with myself and Santiago. We will be talking about developing a plot in your writing, which will go really great with the character and world building we've done so far. So we're gonna start breaking it down and how do you actually turn it into a story. And so that is from 3:30 to 5:30 this Saturday afternoon. Feel free to come out. That is a free class. It's definitely helpful for kids and teens to get that first, and young artists in general, to get that first little taste of how to put things together. We also have this Saturday comic creation workshops. So if you have beginning kiddos, or kids who just love to draw and you're like, I want to take them to something, kids who just love to write, you want to take them to something, we also have at 11:30 our free comic creation workshop this week. And this Friday is the first official kids club game at the Bradenton Marauders, and so that is this Friday at Lecom Field. We got to launch the kids club experience this past Friday on Space Night with the Bishop at the Marauders game, and so we're excited. This is one of those first games that if you've signed up for it, you get as a part of your kids club package. There is some really exciting stuff coming from Bat City and the Bradenton Marauders for that First Mates Kids Club that you're going to want to keep your eyes peeled for before that next game in July. We've got some other stuff this week. We've got Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night this Thursday night. It is going to start at 8:30. If you get here at 8, it's totally fine. Ash will be here helping get everything ready to go. So if you do come the usual time, there will be somebody here all set up and ready to go. We're really looking forward to that. Also a free event. Feel free to bring snacks. Feel free to get excited. We also, coming up in the next couple of weeks, on the, is it the 24th? Oh my gosh, I don't even know the date. It is the last Wednesday of the month. We have our queer book club, which will be reading Magic Fish, and this is such a good graphic novel. We're going to be talking about it. We have copies in the store if you need to come pick one up. You're going to want to read it. It's such a fantastic book about a young boy who is learning both how to be a first generation American, but also to kind of come out to his family who still only speaks Vietnamese, and not understanding whether or not the Vietnam culture will actually even accept a queer person. Really great story. Cannot wait to read it. We will have queer librarian and activist Molly here with us. She is going to be talking about this book, leading some discussion on it, and then she will be talking about the rest of the books that we will be doing each month for our queer book club. So check our calendar for more information on that. And there's still tons more events to come. Don't forget, last Thursday of the month is our creator meetup, and this month is going to be a really exciting time because we're going to start a little bit of talking about our Mad Cave pitches and what that talent search looks like, so that you're prepped by the time we get to our July meeting, which is when we will be reviewing pitches for that Mad Cave talent search that happens. And so we'll be talking a little bit about what goes into a pitch and how to develop sequential story paneling pages for something like a pitch this month. But until then, we're going to be talking about comics, and we're going to kick it off this week right now with I Hate Fairyland, reverting back to its legacy numbers because, as the cover of the book says, yes, it's number 21 in the current run, but it is now 41 because the relaunch sold more with a new number 1, but now I want to flex that there's 40 issues with legacy numbers, so deal with it, from Scotty Young. It is issue 41 of I Hate Fairyland. If you haven't read I Hate Fairyland before, you can still catch up. There's trade paperbacks. They always keep them in stock, as do we, because it is such a fun experience. This is the story of Gert, who is a young girl who gets sucked off into a magical place called Fairyland, where you're supposed to just go on a fun adventure, find a key, open the door back to your home, and return. But Gert isn't so great at things, and so now here we are 41 issues later, and Gert still finds herself living in Fairyland. And in this issue, she has decided that she wants to do a bar crawl through this secret magic dungeon like bar. And if you find this tavern, there's supposed to be like 7 dungeons that you can travel through to win. You win different drinks at the end of each one, and if you make it through the whole thing, congratulations, you get a prize. If you don't make it through, you get burned alive by a dragon. And Gert's like, this is my ultimate experience, because Gert loves to kill things, and she does go on her great and wonderful adventure through the dungeon, and we get to see her little pub crawl as she does it. And Larry, the Jiminy Cricket of it all, really just kind of hating his experience. It's fun. It's great. What's wonderful about this is it's completely standalone issue, so you can just jump in and read this one to get a little taste of what Fairyland really is before you go back and read that whole series. And you should, because it's a lot of fun. Something is Killing the Children, issue 42. I guess that should have come before issue 41 of I Hate Fairyland, but here I don't know how to count. This is from Boom Studios, and this is continuing that background story that we've been following of Erica and Jessica. If you know Something is Killing the Children, it is the story of a woman named Erica Slaughter, who is a part of a secret society that kills monsters that kill children. And she has been in this order since she herself was a child. And she was trained by a woman named Jessica, who has really had a huge impact on who Erica has become. And we've never actually gotten to see a lot of the time Jessica and Erica spent together because Jessica is not around anymore. And this arc kind of seems like it's going to be the one that tells us what happened to Jessica. And it's also going to show us how Erica became who she is. And in this issue, we see them arrive to a small town that is being plagued by monsters killing the children. And we see that Jessica is already kind of a very sloppy drunk and not good at her job so much anymore, and really is relying on the young Erica to kind of take the reins, even though Erica is much too young to be carrying that burden of an alcoholic parent or of a job such like this. And so they are going to have to figure out what is going on in the woods and why hikers and tourists are disappearing. I love it though, because they treat this, the sheriff of the town kind of leads this issue, and we kind of see this as a Jaws-esque story. He even says, like, to the mayor, you're acting like the mayor in Jaws because you're keeping this area open, and we should definitely be closed because monsters are coming. And you're going to see exactly what happens with those monsters as the story unfolds. Transformers, issue 21 from Image, Skybound, and our Inner John universe, which is the crossover of Transformers and G.I. Joe. And we see a little bit of that in this issue. We have been following along as the military, the Joes, have kind of found some of the Transformers and are starting to finally break into learning what they're up against a little bit. And in this issue, we see that at the very beginning that they aren't treating the Transformers as prisoners of war and something that is sentient. They're kind of like, this is just a robot that we can destruct, and there's some big contentions on that. But we also see that our Optimus Prime has been corrupted, and if you've been following the series, we're seeing a very different Optimus in general. He's more of the war-torn hero who doesn't always make the right choices, and at this point he has some circuitry problems that are causing pieces of his weaponry and his brain essentially to not be able to tell the difference between somebody who is friendly and somebody who isn't. And Optimus is having to come to terms with not only is maybe he not the right leader for the Autobots anymore, but maybe he needs to completely reboot parts of himself if he's going to do that. And we see how he is willing to handle that and how far he's willing to go for his team in this issue. World Tree, issue 15 from Image. This is James Tynion's big sci-fi story, other than Department of Truth. I guess also technically counts as sci-fi. I don't really know. But in... Huh?
Blue Book.
Blue Book? Oh, yeah, that had aliens. But this has, been going on. Blue Book wasn't an ongoing. This is all about, essentially, a part of the internet called the Undernet that opens up people to a really... murderous side of themselves and shows them just everything that's wrong with the world. And we have seen that went really, really poorly, and that there was a group of kids who at the time created something called World Tree, which was basically the path to saving the world. But that didn't work. And now here we are in this arc of the story. We are actually way, way in the future, and we see that World Tree failed twice, and that the evil woman who kind of opened up the world through the Undernet is kind of in charge of everything now. And that evil woman is the younger sister of our the guy who created World Tree to try to save the world. And for the first time, we are actually seeing her backstory on how she became this crazy person who just wanted to open up the world to destruction. And we're also seeing the few survivors who are trying to figure out a way to tell that story, because they feel like the internet was created to be something that informs and educated, and it lost sight of that, and that's how it became the bad thing that it was. So maybe if they can bring that back, maybe they can save the world. And they are working in this issue to try to build a team of people who maybe will be able to do that. It may actually open up the world to even more devastation, and a little bit of resistance that exists may die with it, but they have to try. And we're going to see exactly whether or not they can break through to the people that remain and to the darkness around them. Geiger, issue 15 from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine imprint. This is such a good issue of Geiger. I just need to preface it right there with this issue. We have been following recently not only Tariq, who is the Burning Man, a man who during the apocalypse, essentially like the end of the world during a nuclear blast, tried to save his family and ended up radioactive, and now lives and wanders the world alone, being the reluctant hero trying to find a solution. And he thought that he found the solution in what was known as the Burning Woman, Ashley Arden, who also had the radioactiveness. And so Tariq had come to her hoping for some help, only to find out that she has actually been using him as a way to hopefully get the glowing and the radiation out of herself. And in this issue, there is a giant standoff where Ashley counts on the fact that Tariq will always do the right thing. And so when a nuclear blast is going off once again and there's tons of people in danger, she knows that he'll absorb all of that radiation if it means saving everybody, even if it also means possibly dying. And she has to make the choice, like, are you actually the hero or are you the villain, Ashley? And where have you fallen in this? And we just get to see some great moments from Geiger, from Tariq Geiger himself. We get to see Ashley come to terms with a lot of different things about herself as she faces that question. And you get to see how it plays out. We've got Hello Darkness, issue 11 from Boom Studios. This is Boom's big horror anthology right now, with some wildly crazy covers from Jenny Frison, which is what I'm here for. And also some really great one-shot stories inside of it. So we've got a couple of different ones. The first one is called I just skipped over the name. It is called Hell Horse, and it is about a young kid whose brother takes their horse and uses it for competition, and he runs the horse to where it breaks its legs. And so the dad is like, well, we're gonna have to put your horse down, and the kid is like, you guys are terrible people who don't care about anybody, and I wish that this horse and I could get vengeance on you. And that request is soon granted in a wild, crazy way, and you're not going to want to miss exactly what happens to this hellacious horse as time gives all people a chance to fight back. And then we have a book and a story, and I'm gonna have to say the name, and I'm sorry in advance if you're sensitive to cuss words, but it is called Shit Can, and it is about a group of people who try to make a story in an underground tunnel, one of the water tunnels or whatever under a bridge, that they go really too far deep in, and the man in his exploration is haunted by these raccoons who just kind of lead him down a crazy path. What's really cool about this story actually is was actually done on the tunnel bridge pieces, and so you actually get to see the place where I'm going to show you these pictures, where they actually went in and painted the panels of the comic on a bridge, or in an underground tunnel, so that they could actually have the authenticity to the design of what they were doing, which is a really cool way to do it. And they talk about how because of where the tunnel is, it will actually stay, untouched for a long time, which is kind of just a cool way to put art into the world. Then we have one called The Void That Lived in the Manor, and it's all about a person who kind of feels like they're alone, and that they're going to die, and they're going to kind of die unknown, and maybe they're already dead and nobody even knows. And this little black cat shows up and it becomes an all-consuming force in their lives, and you get to see what that looks like. And I'm not going to show you because it's crazy, and it's awesome. And then we have another story. Of course, we have our one page from Robert Hack, but I can't show you this because it ruins the whole thing. And then we have one more story that is about a woman who is trying to bring somebody back to life who seems to have been out of it for a while. And they leave the city to go on a camping trip in a very specific spot, only to find out that maybe the delusions that the woman is having aren't quite delusions themselves, and there is something that is going to happen in the city that they've left behind, and you've got to read to find out what that is. I love how many stories you get in Hello Darkness, because they do kind of load you up with a lot of fun, dark, scary, spooky stories and like weird sci-fi stories all together. We've got Gotcha Man, issue 10 from Mad Cave. This has been a really fun adventure in learning what Gotcha Man is for me, because I did not watch or read Gotcha Man in any capacity as a child. And so this has been really cool to kind of just see this team of the science ninja team come together and do some really cool things. And if you've been following along, in the last issue, the majority of the Gotcha Man Science Ninja team, I guess the Science Ninja team, was at a science conference trying to protect a bunch of scientists, the world's greatest scientists, who they believe Galactor, the evil villain, was going to come after. And while they were there, these crazy little droid monsters attacked, and they were able to stop them, and they're able to stop them and save all the scientists. But what they don't realize is back at the training facility where Jinpai is, the youngest member of the Science Ninja team, with all of the recruits, there is an attack there too, and there's something, very dastardly about how the creatures are able to find their way into the training facility, and how all of the other people are getting attacked and why. And we kind of see the rivalry of the recruits versus the main Science Ninja team come to a really big head in this issue, and whether or not they can save the day is going to be another story. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 9 from IDW. I really enjoyed this Ninja Turtles run. It has been so good, and I'm really excited that it continues to just build a big story. This issue is from Michelangelo's point of view, and if you haven't been following along for the last 9 issues, basically at the end of Ninja Turtles 150, Sophie Campbell's run, the Turtles were all separate. Master Splinter was presumed dead, and they've all been very broken and unable to just even be around each other. And the first 4 issues of this run showed us where each one of them ended up, and then the 5th issue brought them all back together again. But they didn't immediately become the Turtles that we know and love. They're all very much at odds with each other. And Donatello seems to be the only one at peace, except that peace comes by talking to a literal dead rat that he wears on his shoulder, and talks to and believes that Master Splinter is speaking to him through that. Recently, Leonardo kind of had an engaging moment with Donatello and that rat, where he also kind of believes he hears Splinter now. And so it is just Michelangelo and Raphael who haven't come to terms with that, and who are still very angry and very much against Leo and Donnie, and yet feel like they need to go out and save Donatello because he is missing, but they just won't do it together. And in this issue, Michelangelo is reliving his days of having his own ninja TV show, which is very similar to the Ninja Turtles theme song that he sings for himself while he's fighting. And we get to see a little bit of what it would look like if the guys didn't come together, and what it would look like if they did, as they sort of try to push each other in towards a direction that might be helpful. Meanwhile, April has kind of taken over the role of Casey Jones, and she is taking on the foot team, and the senator the mayor that they're working for head on herself, because if the Turtles aren't going to do it, April will do it herself. Really great story, and every issue always ends on this really emotional note as the brothers are trying to find themselves and each other, and I'm really loving where it's been going. Terminator issue 8 from Dynamite Comics. This is kind of bringing us to a point in Terminator where we recognize it. The first 7 issues have been all about an anthology of different Terminators, T-800s kind of going through time. And this recaps it, and it talks about essentially how the T-800s were designed to take out and do a mission called the Family Tree Mission, and basically are supposed to be eradicating members of the resistance from the future throughout time. And it shows all the different places that they went to and just the errors of constantly not being able to take these people down. And something glitches within them, and they start all attacking each other. And we see the T-800s really kind of destroy each other. And no matter how many times like a T-800 fails its mission, no matter how many times like they kind of go after each other, like they say at the beginning, like they're machines, they've got all the time in the world, they can just reboot and regenerate. And that rebooting leads us to some very big Terminator moments, and I cannot wait for issue 9 to show us exactly how that's going to play out. So if you are a fan of the Terminator franchise, you should definitely be checking that out. I'm going to take a drink again of this wine because, well, quite frankly, it's delicious and I'm thirsty. We're drinking Santa Julia, which is, like I said earlier, a Malbec and Cab Franc blend made in Argentina. Man, that is good wine. That is so good. All right. We're going to keep talking comics, keep drinking this wine. If you're hanging out and watching the show, let us know. We want to know what you're reading this week, what you're enjoying, whether it's indie or not. We still want to hear what books you're loving in the comments, so let us know. We've got Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue 8 from Image Comics. We had quite a delay on this, and I'm so glad that it's back because this actually might be one of my favorite issues of this run because it has been it's built to this perfectly. But if you don't know the story, it is about two people. One is a cowboy and one is a samurai woman who each were killed in their respective time frames, and they ended up in purgatory together. Not necessarily like intentionally together, but when they got there, there was a person in charge of purgatory who is absolutely a horrible, horrible man, and who's kind of always been somebody who's willing to sacrifice his people in order to gain status for himself, and he is doing that in the afterlife as well. And they're wanting to just pass on, kind of led them to team up together, and in the process of learning how to speak to each other and learning how to work with each other's different survival techniques and fighting against this person, they have actually fallen in love with each other, and they are still trying to find a way to cross over and still trying to find a way to take down this guy who is doing terrible things to the other people, but they're doing it together now, and it's beautiful. And Asami, who is our samurai woman, she's actually kind of not sure that she even wants to go through with the plan, because if she does, it may lead to them getting across to the other side. And she's like, we go in death the same way we come into life and birth. We do it alone. And what if we lose each other? And he's like, we'll find each other on the other side. But if we don't, at least we had like this beautiful love, wonderful moment together. And so they decide to enact their plan to try to take out the bad guy. And we see just how that story kind of plays out for the two of them, because if they can't do this very first thing of getting the stone that they need and the power that they need to cross over, it's not going to work. And they are facing a lot of odds trying to do it, some that they didn't anticipate and some that you didn't anticipate, and will discover when you read this issue. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nation in issue 7 from IDW. This is an anthology of what else is going on in the Turtles world. It kind of started out with some backstories about what some of the Turtles did before they came back together. Now it is giving us some stories about alternate people in the world. And the first one is a member of Karai, who runs the Foot, a member of their like close-knit guard, who has returned and realizes that the Foot soldiers are now working for the mayor, who is using them in a very, very bad way, basically rounding up mutants and attacking them and putting all the blame on mutants for everything that happens, and kind of like obstructing even police justice, which we're going to be talking about in the next part of the story. And they're like, this isn't Karai, this isn't what like ninja culture stands for, this isn't even what even as the bad guys, essentially, we would never stand for this. But they've realize that Karai has gone missing after talking to Bebop and Rocksteady, we believe that she is just in her room meditating, but in reality her soul has gone, and something dark has replaced it, and they have to figure out essentially how to take the foot back, how to save Karai, and maybe they'll end up teaming up with the turtles in the end to try to save it. I don't know, but we're gonna find out. The second story is about a moose who is a police officer, and he feels like he's always done the right thing. He wakes up every morning, makes sure his uniform is super clean and polished. He says that every day he polishes his boots until he can see his face in them. Always played by the rules, but one day he is called to a bar that doesn't allow mutants in, where a mutant is mutanimal specifically, I guess I should say, is sitting in there and just having a drink, and has just kind of lost it because he's having a bad day and everybody's being super racist and rude towards him. And the moose calls for backup, and instead of fellow cops showing up, it is actually the corrupted foot soldiers, and they immediately just want to kill this mutant animal because that's what they do. And the moose is like, that's not what we do though, and he actually ends up trying to stand up to the foot soldiers to follow the letter of the law instead of actually just attacking people just because of who they are. And he learns that there is, sometimes even the people who are supposed to be the good guys can be the bad guys, and that the police have an obligation to stand against the ones who take it too far. And it is a great story that everybody should read. Huge Detective issue 5 from Titan Comics. This is the end of this story. It's been a minute since we've seen it. I'm glad it's back, as Titan was working out their distribution home. We had to wait a little bit, and so I'm glad we finally get to see how this ends, because it's such a crazy story. Basically, there are these things called Huges, which are essentially kaiju-sized people who came from outer space, and there is one who works as a detective. And there is a woman who is a regular, human who works as a detective as well. And they have recently been teamed up because there is a young boy in a prison who is just a regular human, but somehow is able to communicate through telepathy in the same way that the Huges are, and firmly believes that he is a Huge. Meanwhile, a murder has happened, and he may or may not be the person responsible for it, but it is about to lead to a human Huge war all over again, after they have finally come to a place where people don't attack each other in those ways. And so it is up to these two to team up together to solve this mystery, and it is a wild, crazy resolution that they actually come to, and a really weird, crazy way of how they get to it, with the just all kinds of strange things, including writing inside of the giant's mouth so that she can go underwater and still be able to breathe. It's totally off the wall and completely works in every way. And so you absolutely, if you love detective stories and you love kaijus, this is a great blend of two really good genres in an interesting, strange way. We have the Loose End issue 4 from Titan Comics. This is, and is it a hard? Yeah, it is a hard case. Oh wow. This is such a off-the-wall, crazy story about a guy who is down on his luck. He has a gambling problem, and his best friend is a celebrity who does all of the action kind of movies, and he's like, hey, we're going out with this executive for the Hollywood, the big director. He's taking us out of Mexico. Why don't you come with us? Well, the mob hears he's going and decides to tell this down on his luck guy that he could clear all his debts if he kills the Hollywood executive, and if he doesn't, they're gonna kill him. And so they go down to Mexico for a fun little retreat, and in a far worse than the Hangover level of hijinks and misfortunate events, they end up on the wrong side of the cartel, and they are having to fight their way back out of Mexico. And there's a lot of revelations in this issue about everything, about all the different people who are on the team, some of which who do not make it out alive. And they have to kind of figure out, how are we going to survive this? Nobody is a good person in this at all. like, they're all kind of like really terrible people that you're like, if they don't make it, I kind of like don't care. But also at the same time, I really kind of want everybody to make it because they're on the team that I'm following. It's wild, it's ridiculous, it's absurd, and you should definitely read it if you are looking for just a fun time and a crazy ride. Sister Imperator, issue 4. This is from Dark Horse. This is, I believe, the end of this story, and a great story it was. Again, I've talked about this. I even talked about it, I think, this week on the new books this week, but I have no knowledge really of ghosts. Like, I've heard some of ghost songs, but I had no idea that there was this character, Sister Imperator, that was a part of the ghost, the band lore. And this has been such a good story about a woman who, when she was a teenage girl, her and her mom remarried a priest, and a preacher or a priest or whatever he actually is, and he is absolutely terrible, and he abuses her like violently, physically, and he abuses the girls in another way, all of which is not shown in the book, so you don't worry that it's not going to be like super triggering in that capacity at that moment. But she does her sisters are murdered by him, and the blame is put on her, so she takes off running. She literally joins the circus, and through that experience kind of just decides that the person she wants to be is the person who takes out terrible men who do terrible things to young girls. And so she comes back to America, and specifically to her home, and starts taking out just anyone who takes advantage of a woman. And she starts seeing the ghosts of her little sisters in their Halloween costumes the day they died, leading her towards more and more people until she has to face her very own stepdad and see if she can get any kind of resolution through that. And this whole story has been told after she is arrested and is in prison, and she's telling us the story of her whole back history of how she got to where she is and why she stands up for women and why it matters. And it was such a good story. It's all on newsprint, so it smells really good too. But if you haven't checked it out, even if you don't know anything about ghosts, I just highly recommend this book because it was actually really well done. I know a lot of times when it's like, oh, this book is about like a musical band and you're not into the band, you're like, I don't care. Or, oh, this is written by like, so it has a celebrity name on it. A lot of people are like turned off. This one is actually really well done, and you don't have to know anything about the world, so you should just check it out because it's just a really good story. Frankenstein, New World, issue 4 from Dark Horse. This is also the wrap-up of this little piece of the Frankenstein New World story. This has followed Frankenstein, the Hellboy version of Frankenstein's monster, and Elijah, who are on a journey to figure out what, like, stop this evil entity, essentially, and find like the right people for Elijah to be paired with to get the power needed to do just that. And they are on this quest, and in the process of it, they stop at a village which happens to be plagued by sirens attacking them in the water around it. And so they decide if their job is to help people, then it includes everybody along the way. And so they go underwater and try to save the day by figuring out what is happening, only to find out that the sirens themselves have kind of been plagued by this monster that has turned them into these darker creatures. And so Frankenstein and Elijah work to find the answer for them and to try to figure out how to save the day, saving multiple groups of people at the same time as they continue their journey along the path. Just, again, I always say this, but the Hellboy universe stories, even if you don't know Hellboy, they're also just really good stories, and you should check them out, and you don't have to. Like, they even say, like, oh, you helped that red guy that one time, and, like, they don't even, like, call him Hellboy in this specific story, so you don't have to know anything about Hellboy to read them. Vampiro Rockabilly Apocalypse, issue 4 from Massive Comics. This is such a ridiculous concept that is actually just a fun story to read. This is all about a podcaster who really truly believes that this musician that he loves is a vampire, which is kind of a rumor that's been going around. And when he sets out to prove that, he ends up inside of a crazy journey that he never expected, alongside his favorite musician, who turns out is actually a vampire, and he is being hunted by people who believe themselves to be the forces of good, but are essentially this habit of nuns who believe it's their responsibility to take down anything supernatural, whether it is a good guy or a bad guy. And so they have been chasing after him as a habit for like hundreds of years, and they are determined to destroy him. Meanwhile, there's these other people who have a YouTube show who are always out there trying to catch some wild monsters on camera, and they end up seeing all of this going down, and so they have now jumped in to kind of give them the guidance and the help that they need, even though they're not on their side either. And so you got to team up, enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation. We see that happening in this issue as the nuns have finally gained the upper hand. But are they able to break free? Where is that going to lead them? Is it even going to help? We're going to see all of that. Plus, we're going to learn a little bit about why Vampiro is the way he is and who he's actually doing all the things he does for, which gives us some great character growth on all three of our characters. I love it at one point, like they're in there and they're just like, what evil did you do to get caught up with these like terrible sadistic sinners? And the guy's like, podcasting? And I'm like, I love it because that joke is just good on so many levels. But check it out. It's fun. It's a wild ride. We'll see where it goes. We have Golden Rage, Volume 2, Issue 3 from Image Comics. This is essentially if you took the Golden Girls and made it into almost like an apocalyptic, like Fight Clubby kind of like blend in here, as the world has gotten to the point where they decide that women who are too old to have children or just can't have children are no longer allowed to be a part of society. So they start like shifting them off to different islands. On this one particular island filled with women, we have essentially the Golden Girls. And in Volume 1, a young woman is sent there for the first time, who's never even had a kid, never even tried to have a kid, but she's been deemed that she cannot have children, so they just kick her out too. And you get to see how the village kind of accepts them or doesn't, and you see the village have to come together because they realize like now all women are being kicked out and mistreated just for not being able to, like being told not having a kid makes you useless. In this volume, it starts out in issue 1 with a baby randomly appearing on a boat. Just a small boat that magically appears and a baby is in it. And it kind of brings the whole world into some upheaval because some of the women think it's their responsibility to care for the baby. Some of them are like, where did it come from? There's somebody watching us. Something bad is going to happen and we need to up our security. And it kind of just leads to the now like recently put together group suddenly becoming fractionalized again. But it also leads to the people who used to run the more militant, angry, almost villain-esque side of the island becoming fractured because the mother and daughter who have always been in charge of that can no longer communicate to each other because of the trauma that comes back from this baby's arrival. And we see them two square directly on face-to-face in this issue, and there's just so much that comes from a conversation in this book every issue that you're like, ooh, like there's so much heart like woven into each piece of the story. And we're starting to see some of our Golden Girls get to the point where maybe their lives are coming to the end, and it's just there's so much emotion in it. We have Far Down Below, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is from Chris Condon, who did That Texas Blood and the Enfield Gang Massacre, and so we're seeing just a completely new story from them here. And this is about a old man who discovers something way, way, way down in like the center of the earth, and kind of just disappears from it, leaving his family behind. And then it fast forwards to the 80s, which is at this point the future, and there's two young boys who are like, hey, it's raining, we're bored, we should go check out the old haunted house. And one of the boys is like, that's really weird because it's just my grandpa's house, like my family technically owns it. And he's like, so you have keys and you can get us in. So they go to this haunted house, which is still completely set up as if like people live there. And in the process, they discover a pathway down to that far down below area. And the boys learn that there is something down there. Not only the grandpa, but some all the crazy things that he discovered. Meanwhile, there is no way back out as the house is caught on fire. The parents think the boys are missing, and so they are trying to figure out how to find them. And things are just getting worse and worse down below, and whether or not this family is going to be able to work together, whether or not they're going to make it out alive, I don't really have a lot of hope for anybody that's down below. And because the things are bigger and bigger every issue of what is down there, and there may not be a way out. We're going to figure it out. Lost Fantasy issue 2 from Image, another like extended issue, a lot of like a double-sized issue almost from this book, which is really cool that they're giving us so much in this, because the lore on it is really big, but they don't weigh you down too much in any one way of exposition. If you're a fan of Something is Killing the Children, this might be another one that you want to check out. It's not as horror, but more on just like the magic side, like if you put magic into Something is Killing the Children instead of horror. But there is essentially a secret society that has magic and goes out to solve murders and mysteries and keep people safe from the magical and like beings that are attacking them. And they have their own sense of magic. And in issue 1, we learned that there was a boy who kind of brought back magic from that nobody had ever seen before, and he's been raised by the secret society with his magical powers to kind of be their best agent who goes out and stops these bad things. Well, in issue 2, we open up with these people who are just hired assassins, and they get assigned to assassinate him, and he is like out doing, as we know, he's out on assignment trying to figure out a murder, and they come for him, and he isn't prepared for what happens, and we get to see a little bit of how like the magic and the magic beings and the things work as well, which is really cool. There's some really awesome different styles of magic in this, but because he is a little off his game for a minute, they bring in his arch nemesis, another agent, to help him to take over his case essentially, and he's not very happy about it, and the new guy's not very well prepared for taking over the case either, and so we're going to see them have to put aside some differences if they're going to figure out how to figure out what is actually happening in this town and what these murders are really all about. Again, really, really big world unfolding in front of you right now. If you like I said, Something is Killing Children, if you like stories that have magic and detective work, this might be a really good blend for you to check out. The Future Is issue 2 from Recca Publishing. We just had issue 1 and everybody was like, oh my gosh, it's so fast. That's on purpose because they want you to really get the story without having to wait too long before you get the next piece of the puzzle, because there is actually a puzzle in here, because this is done by a team of people who actually work in cybersecurity, and so there is a capture the flag game going on inside of this story for people who want to go online and play that game and do some coding. But issue 1 introduced us to a cast of characters who work together as a team now, doing cybersecurity things to essentially stop corporate overlords and evil billionaires from being mean to the little guys. And this issue actually takes us back and introduces us to the backstory of one of them, Martina, who we learn was an all-star gold medal track and field event person, known for her fast running and all of her skills, and she ended up getting taken in by a billionaire to be forced to be a trophy wife and essentially mind controlled and by his tech that he creates. He creates a tech that's supposed to control where prisoners are, and he tests it by putting it into his wife. And she is now being controlled by that and forced to do whatever he wants. And our hacker from issue 1, who we know runs the group, comes in and helps her try to figure out what's going on in her life and how she could possibly break free. And so we get this origin story of how she joins the team and how she learns to really just use the powers that she was given, but also like, which is just normal speed and skill, but also her desire to help other people. Really great. I really like this character. I really like her story. I like the way that she joins the team and that she's ready to just do something. And I like that this is just showing ordinary people come together and they're essentially going to have to learn the skills. Like, she knows nothing about programming, different stuff like that, but we're going to see her kind of get more of that knowledge. And I think it's going to be really cool to see all of the pieces of the puzzle of that team get built over the next couple issues. We've got Free Planet issue 2, also from Image Comics. This is another one that has a ton of lore. If you read issue 1, you know that it really builds out like everything for the world, the characters, everything, and a lot of exposition. And you're going to get a little bit more of that in this issue for where we are. And so basically, this story is that for the first time ever in the history of all of the universe, a planet has finally figured out how to be completely and totally free. They have removed all wars and violence, or so they believe. You know, they think that they have that. They finally feel like they have because they've balanced it for a while. But in order to have a free planet, you still kind of have to have somebody that's in charge. And so this coalition has been formed to try to essentially keep everybody in agreement to not attack others. And of course, you've got people who are like, well, the working class versus this, like the elitist class, and you've got stuff, all of that kind of immediately restarting. And these people are responsible for keeping it free of that. And so they have recently been assigned somebody to join their team that they are very not happy to have, who is a former like war criminal and really just all around bad person. And they're like, this is going to end terribly. And they're like, yes, but you need to have somebody like this on your team because we need to show that like it's everybody is included. And we think that he is reformed and he'll be good. And guess what? He's not. He's not a good person. He's not a good leader. He is immediately doing bad things, and you're going to learn what those big bad things are. But you do get these like epic art scenes of just like the world and what's happening as people try to learn to work together. And if you're looking for a really big story to jump into, you're really gonna like this one. I've been really suggesting this to a lot of people who liked like 20th Century Man and things like that, that are those deeper, heavy stories that are also just about the way worlds work together, and that corruption that falls into it. And so definitely check it out if you're somebody who enjoys those as well. We've got Dark Regards, issue 2 from Oni Press, the most ridiculous book I'm going to bring you this week. And that's saying something because I feel like I've brought you some ridiculousness. But I mean it in a good way. This is all about a guy named Lance. He has changed his name to be Lance, the like bringer of black metal, the ruler of all like demonic things, the ultimate leader of darkness. And he has done that because he just really wants to be cool, and he is incredibly not. And so he gets into black metal, and is like super hardcore Norwegian black metal. I'm so cool. And he sends a bunch of emails in issue 1 to all of the major labels and all of the major bands, and is like, I'm starting a band. It is called this, and we're going to come after you and attack you and show you that this is the most metal of any metal that has ever metaled. But again, he is in no way, shape, or form metal, but it's great because he really, really wants to be, and he has no band, but he is sending all these emails as if he does. And so in this issue, he is building the band. And my favorite, I'm actually going to show this page again. My favorite is this guy, because when Dave is trying to build his band, he goes to Guitar Center to see if he can find some people, like maybe the people at Guitar Center know people, and the guy at Guitar Center like breaks down and is like, oh my god, please put me in your band. Look, dude, nobody knows how to actually play instruments here. Like, it's hard, it's terrible, like we all hate it. Like, why do you think we got jobs here? Because we actually just like, I want to play an instrument. Like, he's like, please save me, like I just need out of here. And It's so hilarious because there's so many jokes about Guitar Center in here, and as a non-musician who spent a lot of time in the music stores, it makes me laugh a lot. And so I hope that it makes musicians and Guitar Center employees laugh as well, because it's hilarious. But so he's also trying to just find these band members, and it's all people who are very like square, straight edge, who join his group, and then they're like, I'm metal. Like the one girl's like, I'm so heavy, like hardcore metal, and she kicks over the sign at the coffee shop, and they're like, why'd you do that? And she's like, because I'm metal now. And they're like, that's not metal, it's just mean. And it's so funny, and they try to record their first song, and it's a disaster, but for some reason they think it's great. And seriously, it's so ridiculously satirical and absurd and wonderful. And if you can laugh at things that you like, you should read this. If you cannot laugh at things you can like, but you don't like metal music, then you should also read this. But if you're just looking for some fun, this is great. It's kind of what I think Tenacious D wants to be, but like for everybody at the same time. We've got Blood Type issue 1 from EC Comics and Oni Press, and this is like spinning out of the page of the idea of their anthologies to give us like a full like story on one, like a character. And so this is about a woman who is a vampire, and it starts out with her on a boat, and she is like just kind of controlling everybody, like using their blood to survive as it tries to get her to a new place. And she's like, I just need to find a place where I can make port. And so she convinces the captain to do just that. And so they come aboard this island, and it's nighttime, so she's able to find a place to stay, and she ends up just going into like the tourist huts that are on, like, that you can rent, like the little cabanas you can rent at a vacation resort, and pulling the curtains close and deciding to stay in there over the course of like the sunny day. Well, one of the people who works at the resort is like, hey, these are only hour-long rentals, you don't have the right to be in there, you need to come out. She ends up taking this kid in and controlling his mind to become her new a new, like, whatever they call it, not apprentice, but whatever it is, when like the familiar that the vampires take that can go out into the world for them. And she finds out that there has been these other murders on the island, and people believe that there are vampires there, and she's trying to figure out, like, are there other vampires? And she's like, it doesn't sound like vampires, it sounds like it might be like ghouls or something. She's like, I need more information. And so she ends up convincing him to take her to an after party for people who work at the resort, so that maybe she can get some more information. And she doesn't like what she finds out, and she learns that she may not be in as much control as she thinks she is. And so we're going to see how the story continues to unfold. It's kind of cool to see an EC story that's not an anthology and just an ongoing, like, vampire story. But we're gonna see how that works, because I'm so used to anthologies from them that I'm curious to see how just a terrifyingly vampirely cool story is going to work. We have the return of Umbrella Academy with Sparrow. This is from Dark Horse. It is issue 1 of what we're calling Plan B of the Umbrella Academy. So if you don't know the Umbrella Academy, they actually recap it for you very well at the very beginning, in that basically there was a random day where a bunch of women who were not pregnant suddenly got pregnant and had a bunch of babies. Those babies were mostly destroyed, except for what you believe in Umbrella Academy is 7 of them who are taken to a school and trained on how to be superheroes. But what we learn in this issue is that there were actually 14 kids, and the other 7 were sent to a different place to be trained. And they were not trained in the good-heartedness that the Umbrella Academy people are. And so whereas all of our Umbrella Academy people come back together in the beginning of that story to become superheroes, these people actually come back together believing that they are superheroes, but not believing in the value of human life. And so they are willing to take down anybody and everybody. And so they are essentially trying to eradicate this city of all of the people that they just think are the problem. And it opens up with them kind of doing that on as children on a plane and learning how to be malicious and learning how to destroy people, and then fast forwards to them actually doing that in this town and the Umbrella Academy kind of stepping in and seeing that these people may be stronger than them. And so we are learning these connections, and as this unfolds, we're going to learn more about the Sparrow team and what exactly they are and how deep and dark their anger actually goes for them, and where they're going to take it. And so if you are a fan of Umbrella Academy, you definitely need to add this to your world, because this is going to be the other half of your story now. If you've never read Umbrella Academy, I actually haven't either, and I read this and it made sense to me, because they do give you that, but I automatically want to go and read it because they do square off with Umbrella Academy people. And so it was like, oh, I need to go and finish reading all of Umbrella Academy and not just read that one issue that I've read, because I need to know what's happening. And I want to know all of these characters and how their counterpart is essentially going to be. So it makes you want to read Umbrella Academy if you haven't, but you don't have to read Umbrella Academy to read it. Snow Owl, issue 1 from Afterlight Comics. All right, this is one of the most terrifying comics I've read because I have a really big fear of this exact creature from my childhood. And so it definitely was terrifying in the best way for a story. But it's all about a man who comes home to visit his mom. And she, like, the father has been dead for a long time. And she's like, I just feel like I need you to be here because I feel like something is watching me. And he's like, you think your house is haunted? And she's like, no. And he's like, so you think that there's somebody, like, breaking in and watching you? And she's like, no, I think there's something watching me. And I need you to experience it. And I need you to know. And she's like, your dad always used to say, be wary of the snow. And she's like, and now it feels cold and like something is watching me all the time. And he's like, Mom, you may very well be crazy. And then he experiences it at night. And I'm not going to show you because the reveal of what he sees fully is so good that I don't want to take it away from you. But this is going to be a 2-part, a duology, just 2 issues. And I hope that we actually get to see issue 2 come through, because it's hauntingly beautiful, the way they do it, and yet terrifying all at the same time. And you gotta check it out and see what happens to this mom and son as the snow builds. All right, we've got Fully Loaded issue 1, and this is from Verity Comics. Yeah. And so another new publisher that we don't necessarily know. And this is also building another big story. This is all about, let's see if I can get, I actually just love this opening page because it looks really like super like futuristic sci-fi Blade Runner-y. But this is, the world has basically been destroyed. We messed up, as we always do in these kinds of stories. And so it's in the future. We do go back to April 2025, which of course just happened, and we get to see what happened to the Earth that led to the destruction of so much of humanity. And then we kind of get to, we go back to now and we see that, and then we do get to go back to the future, and we see exactly, let me see if I can get to it. Yeah, we get to see like what this new world looks like, and we find out like very much that we're in kind of like a more, like I said, futuristic Blade Runner looking society, but we still kind of have some like Mad Max feel to this first issue, because our main character is having to deal with these different kinds of people, like motorcycle gangs and stuff, that are chasing him down. And he's like, oh, I have to, like, he uses his car as a way to, like, he has like this, operating system that he can use with his car that he can fight against these people and kind of just go against them. But there's so much more to it, because he does get a phone call from somebody that's like, hey, I know you're out there and you're taking on these like different gangs of people and stuff, but something has happened and we need you to come home because this person is in danger. And we kind of see that's going to set up where this story is going to go, and wherever this like futuristic world is and whatever happens to all of humanity is really going to play really big into the way that this world works. And I love it because no matter how futuristic it is, he still answers a payphone. And so it has kind of that classic like sci-fi future movie where it's like some things are completely and totally different and like so advanced, and some things are like, wow, that's obsolete for us. And so it feels really cool. And it's our lead character, Carson Blake, is just going to have a lot to deal with. And I think there's going to be a really big story that unfolds. And so I hope, again, like I said with the other one, I hope we get to see more of this story for sure, because I'm curious to see where it's going to go. All right, I'm going to take another drink before I talk to you about picks of the week. We've got Santa Julia, the mountain, what'd you say, the mountain blend, which is a Malbec and Cabernet Franc blend. Oh my God, Matt, you have to taste that. There's so much in the way it opened. It's nice because it does have that like richness of the Cab Franc, but the spice of the super spice of the Malbec.
Spoiler alert, I drank it 5 minutes ago.
Spoiler alert, he's not waiting for me this time like he usually does. He's like, I know. All right, so we've got our 3 picks for you this week of books you definitely need to check out. First up is 40 Coffins from Afterlight Comics. This is a one-shot that is basically the Voyage of the Demeter, which, is your Dracula, yes, same as Snow Owl people. Your Dracula Nosferatu story, however you want to see it, and it's got some really cool art by the other Jock. Not the one who works with Scott Snyder, but the one who does a lot of our indie books, which is, if you haven't read, oh my gosh, what is it? In Hell We Trust. That was really cool one with Jock's art on it. But in this story, we are following, the Demeter arrives on the coastline of England, almost by magic. Is it England? Where did they land? Where does the Demeter land? It's England, right?
I believe so. What?
No, Germany. That's the whole point. Germany. They arrive, and it's so surprising. No, but this actually does have them arriving in England. I wasn't wrong. Okay. They are arriving in Whitby, England, and they are so, like, everybody there is like, how did this ship land? What is going on? Like, where did it come from? There's nobody, like, driving the ship, and they go, and, like, the captain is, like, chained to the wheel of the ship, but isn't alive, and they're like, what is going on? And so they end up finding the captain's log, and we get to see the journal entries of everything that happened over the course of the Demeter trip, and we see them at the very beginning getting attacked, people trying to steal their cargo, and the cargo, them being like, it's just dirt, it's 40 cases of dirt, like, it's just little coffin type things of dirt. Why would anybody want to steal this? And they're like, yeah, there's got to be something in there. And then it like freaks the people out, and they take off running, and the battle kind of ends. And then we start to see day by day a different person on the crew starts to go missing, or seems to go like lost their mind, and they start to talk about this mysterious person that shows up at night that only some of them see, and then the ones who see them, like, they're like, no, they just fell overboard, like, nobody's seeing ghosts, nobody's here, nothing bad is happening on the ship except for people not knowing how to be a part of how to have a ship life, until there's only a few of them left, and they realize that something really bad is actually happening. And if you know your Dracula Nosferatu kind of story, you know where this is going. I love it because it ends on my birthday. And so I was like counting the journal entries, and I'm like, ooh, is it gonna happen? Are we gonna make it? I was really excited. But if you are a fan of Nosferatu or Dracula, or if you saw The Voyage of the Demeter, you should probably read this book, because it's the same story you already know, told from the captain's point of view in his journals, and it's really well done. And again, the Jock art like makes for really cool, crazy design work for all the different characters, and the way he obscures things looks really good. So check it out. One shot, again, just kind of a fun Dracula tale for us all. We've got Blue Palo Verde #1 from Mad Cave. We talk about this a lot, where we're like what happens in a number one sometimes leaves you like, I have no idea what's happening and I'm here for it, or, oh wow, that was a really good setup. This is definitely one of those books that you're like, that setup was so good that I'm ready for the whole book, whatever, like just give me the whole thing right now because I need to know. This follows a woman who gets out of prison and she's released, and she's like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna see my dad, and you know, he was communicating with me still. I think that I would like to see him. And she goes home only to find out that her dad is not there, and so she follows the last address or the address on the last letter she received from him to a new town, which is called Promise. And she's like, I'm gonna find my dad. Well, when she arrives there, the sheriff is like, I don't want you here. Like, I know that you have that prison stare. You look like you just got out of prison. You're not here for our town. There's nowhere for you to stay. You need to leave, and you need to leave immediately. And she's like, I'm looking for my dad. And he's like, okay, fine. Go to the doctor, and the doctor knows your dad, and he'll tell you where he is. And she kind of gets very cryptid responses from everybody else about her dad and about what's going on. And the kids of the town are very strange, and there's supposed to be a big festival that night. And she's like, you know what, if everybody in the town is going to be there, maybe my dad's going to be there too. So she decides to sneak into this festival. And guys, just don't, like, when somebody's like, hey, like, you need to leave, like, this town, like, get out of here as soon as you can, maybe do, because bad things usually happen when that happens. And I don't want to show you what that bad thing is, and I don't want to show you what this like festival looks like and where it's going, but you get kind of a little Midsummer vibe from where this book might go, kind of like some crazy like cults, like weird stuff happening. Mad Cave's really good right now at that slow moving like horror sense of dread book, and I think that this does that very well in the first issue of being like, she's just a woman looking for her dad, and the whole thing is just like door knocking, trying to find him, only to reveal that there's something dark and disastrous coming her way. Definitely a promise of something terrible to come as this story unfolds. And again, I'm not going to show you the second half because I don't want to spoil it. You should just come get it and read it. And then lastly, the crossover event of the summer, the team up we've all been waiting for, the moment that Bat City has been talking about way too much for all of you who don't care, and you're gonna hear us talk about it even more for even longer because it has finally happened. Toxic Avenger and Second Coming have crossed over for the first of the Toxie team ups from Ahoy this summer, and it is everything you want it to be. This is the Toxic Avenger and Jesus Christ himself teaming up in learning what it means to do the right thing and fight for injustices. And so in this issue, Jesus from Second Coming is given community service because somehow every time he tries to do the right thing, the world just doesn't accept it. And so he gets community service and has to go work at a food kitchen, and at that food kitchen is Toxie works as the janitor, and Jesus learns that even though it's supposed to be a food kitchen and it's supposed to be helping people, it's actually run by corporations who are just trying to use it as a way to get focus group research and do other like crazy experiments and things on these people who are there. And they don't fight him because they're looking for help, and so they're willing to do anything. And Jesus meets the man in charge of the corporation who is like, I feel like we are bringing joy to people. Okay, maybe not people, maybe just myself, but like I'm getting joy out of what's happening, and so I don't really care. And Jesus is like, this is a terrible person. We need to stop him. This isn't the way that you should be doing things. And he keeps trying to get people to be on his side, but nobody really thinks that it's all that bad because none of them are being impacted. Meanwhile, Toxie is being Toxie and is always standing up against bullies and fighting for the little guy who doesn't have somebody to stand up for him. And Jesus realizes that maybe you need to help people see what's wrong in a situation, and maybe they won't just stand up for something because you call it an injustice, but you have to actually show them the hurt and the problems that are happening behind it. And so we get to see that great team up that we've been waiting for happen in this issue. We are going to see some more Toxie team ups coming our way. There's actually 4 more. The next one is the Jersey Devil, I believe. Yeah, Jersey Devil is next, and then the third one we're very excited for. It is Toxie teaming up with Acid Chimp from the My Bad universe. I cannot wait. If you have not read My Bad and you've not learned about Acid Chimp, do yourself a favor and grab all of the volumes of My Bad all at one time. It is Mark Russell's world of alternate satirical superheroes, and it is wonderful, and you definitely need to read it. But Acid Chimp is the villain's sidekick who literally just throws acid at people, and so I can't wait to see what Toxie is going to do with that. But if you didn't read it's going to be great. If you also haven't heard, there is more Toxic Avenger to come your way. We are going to see a new #1 of a Toxie ongoing starting soon from Ahoy. We had the little mini series that kind of led us into what was happening. We're going to see a new Toxie series. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you go to your local comic shop and subscribe, because Matt Boris is crushing it on Toxic Avenger. This one was written by Mark Russell, who writes Second Coming. The anthologies of Toxie Team Up are going to be written by the counterpart person, not Matt Boris, because Matt Boris is getting you ready for that ongoing. So again, go subscribe, pick up all these one shots. They're going to be great.
When's the ongoing come out?
3 weeks from this past Monday, because I just ordered it.
It's the ongoing.
It is the ongoing. So about 2.5 weeks from now. And there's information to come about that for some special exciting news from Bad City on the Toxie Avenger #1. So if you're a Toxie fan or a Bad City fan, I don't know when we're making that announcement, but it's coming to you soon. So hold the phone or the mop, whatever you want to hold on to. All right, we've got some other books in stock. We've got Aquaman issue 6 from DC Comics. We've got Batman and Robin issue 22. Batman Dark Patterns hits issue 7 this week. Absolute Batman hit issue 9 with Absolute Bane. We had the launch of Avengers Academy, which if we've had Strange Academy, we've had Doom Academy, now we've got Avengers Academy. New Thunderbolts was supposed to launch this week, but instead we got new Avengers #1, and I'm not quite sure why. Unless, of course, you've seen the movie, then you'll know, and you need to check this out. And I need to check it out because I accidentally saw the end, and now I'm 100% in. Batman and Robin, Jason Todd launched this week. One World Under Doom, issue 5. DC versus Vampires World War V hit issue 10. Oh my gosh. Deadpool Wolverine issue 6 is out, plus Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one more time, issue 3. We've got Conan the Barbarian issue 21. I am stuck. Green Lantern Corps hit issue 5 this week. New Champions hit issue 6. The new Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, is on issue 3. This has been really popular for us. I'm going to put this down because the stack's getting heavy in my hand. I am very excited to say Runaways is back. It is still Rainbow Rowell writing it. If you were a fan of the most recent runs of Runaways, I'm so excited. It does connect to your One World Under Doom universe, but I'm just happy that the Runaways are back. King Spawn hits issue 46. We had our giant size Amazing Spider-Man, which this is all those giant size issues that are bringing Kamala Khan into classic moments in time in the Marvel universe. We had Spawn issue 365, Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, The Bad Batch, Ghost Agents issue 4. The new Star Wars issue 2, Supergirl issue 2, that fantastic Sophie Campbell Supergirl story continues to be wonderful. We've got Superman Action Comics issue 287. We've got Giant Size Dark Phoenix Saga issue 1. Again, Kamala Khan getting added into those classic moments. Exceptional X-Men issue 10. Ultimate X-Men issue 16. We had some second prints of Godzilla vs. Spider-Man coming out, as well as the Amazing Spider-Man issue 2 getting a second print. And the Superman Summer Special got a second print as well. We saw the launch of Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman with issue 1. This is reprinting some of the backstories of that Trinity has been featured in, so people who may have missed them can get caught up. But issue 2, I believe, will be the beginning of new stories on that. Magic issue 6. Marvel Rivals Ignite issue 1, Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over issue 3, Eat, Sleep, Reap, Repeat issue 4. This is it's sideways because it's comic strips, and so they keep the format for it. We've got Eddie Brock Carnage issue 5, and I think that's all that I have. Single issues that are actually still in stock, so I'm going to stack that over there. We've got some trade paperbacks launching. We've got volume 1 of Nice House on the Sea, which is the sequel story, companion story, however you want to see it, to Nice House by the Lake. We've got, we're going to do that last, Prairie Gods, the whole story. This is a really cool anthology from Mad Cave. I love the way they call it, the Twilight Zone meets Sin City with a B-movie feel. That's such a great way to say it. Just a little horror anthology for you, all about one small town. All 5 issues are in there. We've got the volume 1 of Exit City. So if you are getting ready to read Endless Night, or if you already started it and you want to know a little bit more about your detectives, this is the story that those detectives first featured in, that tells you a little bit about Exit City and what the police force is like there. We got Ultraman versus the Ultraman X the Avengers. This is that whole 4-issue run from Kyle Higgins of the Ultraman and the Avengers teaming up, squaring off. You have to read to find out. Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. This is issues 6 through 10. This is volume 2 of the current running Spider-Gwen story that's happening. And my favorite, Survival Street Volume 2 is out, and I am so excited. If you haven't read it, this is collecting the Radical Left issues 1 through 4, which is the second volume of Survival Street. If you don't know, it is the story of the government being run by corporations and deciding to cancel PBS because they don't like the message of hope, positivity, and acceptance that PBS puts out. So they cancel PBS, and the Muppets of Sesame Street are not happy with it. So they decide that they are going to take back the country and lead the resistance. And volume 1 kind of follows their immediate big actions on the resistance. This volume kind of follows them trying to help people find new homes and displaced people, finding displaced people a place to go, and just kind of realizing their place in that resistance. It is so good. If you haven't read it yet, it's apt, it's satirical, it's amazing, and it's so well done, and you should absolutely, it should be in everybody's collection. And then, of course, like I said at the beginning, we do have copies of The Magic Fish in stock if you're coming to Queer Book Club at the end of the month, that last Wednesday. This is going to be the book we are reading, and you definitely want to check it out. A beautiful story, amazing story, and you need to come grab one now so you can read it, or get it from your local library and come to book club. I don't care. I just want you to come to book club and hang out with us and talk about this awesome book. So whether you already have it and you read your copy, you rent it from the library, or you come grab a copy because you want to own it, we're going to be here reading it and loving it. Don't forget, this week, though, we do have some events. We've got Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night this Thursday at 8, between 8 and 8:30. Show up somewhere in there. Go in as long as you want. It's drop in, have fun. It's going to be a blast. We've got comic creation workshops this Saturday at 11:30 for kids wanting to come make some comics and have some fun. We've got the first Kids Club game officially at the Bradenton Marauders this Friday at 6:30, and then Saturday at 3:30 we have Slam Academy, where we are going to be talking a real in-depth look, a 2-hour course on how to develop plot in your comic stories, or any story that you're writing, honestly, because developing a plot works the same way. So come hang out with us. It's going to be a great week. If we don't see you at any of those, hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. But as always, we will see you here next Sunday night at 9 to talk about all your favorite and all of our favorite new indie releases. It's going to be awesome. Until then, happy reading, everyone. Bye.